over here. So I'm going to let my first guest introduce herself real quick, and I want to say just something real quick about her. I've known her for quite a while, but why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us something about yourself?
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Shenita Baker. A lot of you probably know me already. I'm an agency consultant with Fidelity National Title Group, and obviously I've worked here for 17 years, worked with Lee for a long time, and you know, this is a little bit nerving for me today because Lee asked me to be his first guest, and so I'm thinking, what do I expect today?
Yeah.
So I'll just openly tell you something about myself. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a closet nerd, and I'm really, truly compassionate about people.
Wow.
I think Lee knows that about me, but I'm a compassionist.
Yeah, I would say having to work with me, I would say she has a lot of grace and a lot of compassion. So I would absolutely. I've known her obviously for a long time. I've known Shenita for a long time. Definitely consider her a partner of mine, a good friend of mine, a mentor in a lot of ways, and she has a tremendous amount of experience. So there's many times where I'll go down to her office, you know, I'll pick her brain, and anybody that if you in the audience know her, just click on a like. I'd like to see a like. I know that you already know this about her. So thank you for this. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you have a family, right?
Yes. Well, I've actually been married to the love of my life for 33 years. I have an awesome marriage and a wonderful son. Only one son. He is 27 years old, and I've got 25 years of title insurance experience. I've served as an underwriter. I've done claims, and now in my role as agency consultant, I can kind of roll all of that together, including my experience in banking, which I spent 8 years as a commercial banker doing real estate loans and title closings. And crazy enough, I'm still in this business.
Wow. Well, speaking about your experience, one thing that I really admire about you is it's from all walks of life. I think you started out, was it with a bank that you worked with a bank?
Yes.
Who was that with? And I know after that was a title agency. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, I started off working for Pioneer Bank in Shreveport, Louisiana back in the early 80s. And I won't say exactly when because you'll figure out how old I am. But I've already told you I've been married for 33 years. So.
Yeah.
But in that career, really, it was the foundation for what I do now. I learned how to do title searches because in those days, doing commercial loans was a lot different than what we do now.
Yes.
You know, there wasn't any email or faxes of things, so there was a lot more preparation. Once I moved to Nashville, I started my career and thought that I wanted to go to law school, and went to work for one of the largest law firms in the city and realized this really isn't what I want to do. So I found myself back in real estate land by going to work for United General Title Insurance Company. And I started my role there doing underwriting and claims, and truly got into the agency side of business by accident.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you did, even though it was an accident. And like I said, I obviously just by the little bit that you told us about yourself, you have a tremendous amount of experience. Well, why don't we talk a little bit? Why don't we just dive deep a little bit? Right. Our goal is to kind of get to know our staff, get to know the audience. So why don't you share us, your deepest fears and insecurities?
My deepest fears and insecurities. Well,
just kidding. That was a joke, right? Trying to lighten it up a little bit. I'll get much better at this. But no, I know that you were not prepared to do that. Wanted to get a little laugh, but we are doing a workshop next week that we want to talk a little bit about, to give you a little bit of an overview, and also to pick her brain because she has so much of experience and background as far as training, policies, commitments. She's also been an underwriter. We wanted to pick her brain there. Those of you that have need for staff that issues policies and commitments. So why don't you speak a little bit about the workshop next week? So you're going to be you're going to have to be hosting a workshop next week. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, what I'll be covering next week is the basics of title search report and taking that search report from commitment to the final policy.
Okay.
It'll also include an overview of the standard coverage of each type of policy that's available and how to prepare them.
Great, great. Who is this class? Who should attend? Who should attend this class?
Well, basically, anybody who works in the title agency is invited to attend. Anyone from the novice policy typist to an experienced title attorney. I think there'll be something either as a brush up or very basic things for the novice to be able to learn.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of new staff out there and a lot of new employees. We're certainly in a growth mode right now in our industry. And certainly if you have new employees or intermediate employees as far as experience is concerned, it sounds like it would be a good class for really anyone to attend. Well, let me ask you this. What is the importance from a risk standpoint about what we're going to be going through? I know a big thing that our agents are trying to do is to minimize their risk out there. So what would you say is, from a risk standpoint, would be helpful attending this class?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say there seems to be a huge misnomer that the preparation of the commitment and policy is basically a checkbox form.
Right.
And that could be furthest from the truth. I think the person who prepares, your commitment and ultimately your policy typist is your last line of defense. So what we're wanting to do is to help to bring awareness to things that you need to be mindful of in preparing the commitment and also in issuing that final policy so that you can do everything that you possibly can to ensure that when that policy goes out the door, the risk is minimized.
Right. And obviously that's the goal, is try to minimize risk as much as we can, especially having newer employees. Well, what are some things to consider when we select an employee? I know a lot of agents out there have hired new staff on, and much like we do here, and you're trying to assess their talent, trying to assess their strengths. You look at their background. What is important in trying to select an employee, talking about their background, their experiences? Can you talk somewhat about that?
Sure. I really believe that the ideal candidate should have a penchant for detail, should be someone who has a reasonable understanding of legal documents and how to read the title commitment. And the best background is someone with real estate, title, or mortgage banking experience.
Okay. So is it something that anybody can be trained to do from scratch? I mean, what would be if owning a title agency? I know you've given a lot of help and advice to title agencies over the world. I mean, in your career, what is the can they start from scratch?
Obviously, they could start from scratch, but I would not put someone who has absolutely no experience in the role of actually preparing the policies. I think they should start with learning how to read a title search, learning how to take that title search into commitment, and then it'll be a natural progression into being able to type the title policy.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because my next thing I was going to ask you is, what is the best way to train them? So it sounds like what you're saying is it would be really helpful to teach them how to search.
Or at least how to read the title search report.
How to read the title search report, which is obviously different than actually doing an examination.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And I will tell the audience just real quick, if you need help with the search aspect, we certainly have experience here that can also help with that. And we also have a workshop that we've done this past year, which we will do this next year as far as how to read an examination. Well, I'm going to leave this kind of open-ended for you. Is there any more tips that you want to share? Anything else to the audience? As I said, much of the audience probably is hiring new employees. Maybe they have some newer employees, or maybe either employees that maybe want to learn more about the issuance and commitments. Any words, wisdom that you can share with them, or tips?
True. I think I would highly encourage everyone to attend our workshops. Most of you know that we've tried to put on a workshop most months out of the year. I think we did, 10 months out of the year this year. And those really are designed for you, our title agents. And it covers everything from the basics of title all the way through, more complicated areas. And in this very difficult environment of people being extremely busy, no one really has the time to train and to hire our staff, train their staff. So what I would say is take advantage of our experience and expertise, because I think that's something, and again, I'm going to say something that's a little bit prejudiced and partial here.
Hold on, Shenita. This is our first show. We don't want to scare anyone off. So
well, I think we're the best in the business. And I think we're the best at training others. So that may be a little partial, but I feel like it's an accurate statement.
Well, it's a good bias to have, and I certainly believe that too. And I'm so glad you brought that up. We will be having, in fact, last week our staff met about the workshops that we're going to be having this next year, and we're going to have one every month of the year. So we're going to be sending out that agenda very soon. Audience, I want to tell you to feel free to sign up for this class. You can look on Facebook, and we do have a link to sign up for the classes we have next week. Tuesday, the class is going to be held right here in Middle Tennessee, and Wednesday is going to be held in Knoxville. Okay, so I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Bring it on, Lee.
Bring it on. Oh, wow. That's a test. That sounds like a challenge. Well, tell us something that we don't know about you. Anything.
Well, I once considered becoming a nun.
A nun?
Yes.
Wow.
I grew up in Catholic schools and was very passionate about my faith. And so I really and truly very strongly considered becoming a nun.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. I surely didn't expect that answer, but very interesting about you. Well, what book are you reading now?
The Go-Giver Leader.
The Go-Giver.
John David Mann and Bob Berg.
Okay. Actually, one of my friends, I'm going to do a shout out to Eric. I don't know if he's still online here, but Eric Nordoff is one of my friends. He does a podcast, and he actually did it on the author of The Go-Giver a week or two ago. So Google that. Eric, if you're still online, you can comment that. But I've heard it's a great book. It's definitely the next book I'm going to read. Well, what is your favorite movie or show?
The War Room.
And why?
It's a powerful movie about the power of prayer and the marriage.
Love that.
And I think that's the one thing that has been very important in my life for the 33 years that I've been married, and I feel like it's a large contributor to the success.
Thank you. If you could spend time with anyone for one day, dead or alive, who would that be?
Well, I would say Martin Luther King.
Okay. Why? Tell me.
I'm a product of the 60s.
Yes.
And as we all look around, we see the heightened tensions in our nation right now. And I feel like he was someone who exhibited strong resolve, a lot of faith, and a lot of his message was about nonviolence and a way of bringing, everyone together. So if I had the opportunity to meet him, even though he was alive when I was a small child, I was too young to appreciate, that character. So
certainly one of my heroes too, and I think everyone agree in the world that we live in now, he would certainly give a lot of leadership to us now. Well, does anyone have any questions at all related to the issuance of policies and commitments? Feel free to ask them. This would be a good time to ask. I'm sure that many of you will be attending our workshop next week. But I do want to thank all of you for joining Title Talk Live. Next time that we speak, we'll get a lot more in depth. This was just to give an overview, kind of a launch. And there again, our first airing will be October the 13th at 10 a.m. And from there, we will air every Thursday at 10 a.m. except for the last day of the month. I want to encourage you to remember, it's more fun if we have a large audience. So make sure that you share this video to your staff, to your friends on Facebook. Click like. And we want a large audience, and we want it to be very engaging and worth your time. So with that being said, we're going to sign off for our first show of Title Talk Live. Hope everyone has a wonderful fall day, and we'll see you soon.